We're here. We're back. You are watching Read, Watch, Play, the show where we talk about what we read in comics, what we watched in the movies. Spoiler alert, we watched something awesome this weekend. And what we played in the realm of pop culture. I went to the New York Toy Fair, and we'll get to that later. I am your host, Tony Cox. With me, as always,
Clifford Parmenter.
And we're going to jump into all that in just a moment. But first, how are you?
I'm good. I'm a little tired.
You're a little tired?
Yeah. It's been a long week.
I know it. It's
And a fun weekend.
Yeah?
Yep. Black Panther. Monday I taught Brian how to play deck builder.
Oh yeah? DC Deck Builder?
Yes.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yes. And I don't know if I hope you saw it at the Toy Fair. Did you pass by Cryptozoic at the Toy Fair?
I was at Cryptozoic at the Toy Fair.
Did you see Rebirth? DC Deck Builder Rebirth?
No.
And Crisis 7?
No.
Crisis Packs? Yes.
I even looked for it at the booth.
Yep. And New Gods mini pack expansion.
I know New Gods was coming out. I'm wondering if it was not at the Cryptic booth and at a distributor's booth.
According to their Instagram, it was their booth.
Because I went to the Cryptozoic booth looking for it and I didn't see anything.
Son of a gun. Well, anyhow, I saw it. I was so
They
excited.
had Deck Builder there, but they didn't have new stuff.
Were they proud of it? I hope they were proud of it.
Nobody talked to me when I went there. It was very weird. It was one of the few booths where I went. I had a buyer's badge and everything, and they didn't say anything to me. They didn't show me the games they had or anything.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And were there people there?
Oh yeah.
See, that's why you
Suits
need
and
me there, so I
everything.
could just walk over and be like, "Hi, talk to me. You're amazing."
Let me tell you, I tried to cram New York Toy Fair in 2 days, and I can't do that again. I will be going at least 3 days, if not all 4 days next year. So
See, we should go as a group. Brian was
should come too.
Brian was very jealous when he saw the pictures while we were playing Deck
Oh.
Builder, and he's like, "Why aren't we at Toy Fair?" I'm like, "I don't know, Brian. Why aren't we there?"
Well, it's not open to the public.
I know.
It's a vendor. It's a trade show. So yeah, not anybody can just waltz in there. You got to be special.
We are special.
I mean, you're special, yes.
Yeah, exactly. And he's my +1.
There is no +1.
He's
in
the
a
bag
trade
holder.
show.
He's the bag holder.
He's the bag. You're the bag holder.
He doesn't mind being my bag holder.
If I said that to my wife, she'd
I do
punch me in the face.
I did a lot of holding for him. It's okay.
That's fine. That's fine. Look, hey, everybody's different. So let's jump right into it. Let's get into comics this week, which is all you, buddy. I've got a little mini stack sitting at home waiting to go.
We're lucky we squeezed in any Marvel. So actually, I'm going to go quickly through Bombshells. So I picked up Bombshells 11 and 12 because I saw the cover to 12 and I loved it. But this is the cover to 11, which is also great.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I got the one for this week's, but this was last week's. Wasn't it?
It's last week's. It's Batwoman, like taking a bat to a flying dude, and it's actually Black Adam.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And then part 2, where he's in his other royal garb, where he looks more Black Adam-esque. Mary Marvel is on the attack.
Oh, very cool.
So, yeah, these 2 issues were really great. So, if you want a really fun Marvel family story, which, of course, I love the Shazam Family, 11 and 12 of Bombshells is for you.
Very cool. So, next up is Milk Wars Part 4, Swamp Thing, and Cave Carson has a cybernetic eye.
So, if you follow my Instagram, you know my love of coffee. So, the fact that this is a coffee cover is already great. Yes. What else? I love how obscure the title of the book is. I love that the Grant Morrison map of the multiverse is there with a coffee stain on it. I love everything about this.
This is a great cover.
It's a great cover. The issue is completely insane. So Cave Carson is working in a cubicle facility, and it's endless. You never need to leave because there's a lunchroom that has everything, and then you're always being brought milk, so you're always caught under the spell when there's milk, right?
Yep.
So anyhow, something goes wrong in the lunchroom, and he starts eating all the vegetation that he can, and it spews forth Swamp Thing. And he's like, Swamp Thing, what were you doing in my stomach? Wow. And he's like, we planned this out because I told you I sensed a presence that was like a thorn inside of nature, and it was the retcon building. And then when Cave Carson went in to explore it, He was immediately, all of his senses were assaulted, but he had a plan, so Swamp Thing hid inside him. Wow. Crazy. So yeah, great, insane book. The last part is next, which is Doom Patrol Justice League. So I can't see how it all works out. And most people have been freed from the spell. Like Cave gets freed from this, and Swamp Thing, of course, is always Swamp Thing. Wonder Woman got freed from her. Superman didn't get free.
Oh, so
he's still running around as Milkman Man. The Justice League of America, we know that they went from being the Rhode Island League to we're ourselves again. Yeah. So I look forward to it. Great stuff. And honestly, this is like the more insane book. Mm-hmm. But I find this easier to follow than Metal.
Really?
And then I find Metal I'm starting to find Metal very artist driven. If you read The Wild Hunt and issues 4 and 5 of Metal, mm-hmm. There's some cohesion there, but it's weird. And it's very artist driven in the sense of oh look, there's just Joker dragons. There's no explanation for Joker. There's just Joker dragons.
Is it also too that I feel like Metal has lots of books, and this is very streamlined. It's very simple. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, Part 4.
No, that certainly helps. But I told you, one of my problems with Metal is I like all the not main books. Issues 1 through 5 mm-hmm. are kind of my least favorite parts of Metal mm-hmm. compared to the Red Death, the Murder Machine, all the one hits on here. Let's show you who these crazy characters are. All of them have been great. Yeah. They've taught me to love to hate them, and it's just it's wonderful. So yes, I'm still on board with this, and I'm not completely against Metal. It's just a reading enjoyment thing.
So woo for this?
Oh yeah, still
woo on the bombshells.
The big one, the bombshells. Yeah. I should give Bombshells more love. Yeah, it's really a fun book, and we need fun books sometime.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so next up is Super Sons number 13.
Speaking of a fun book,
The Parent Trap Part 1. Mother Knows Best.
Yeah, who do you think that is?
TChalla.
Yes, it is. And she's there. She doesn't like what Bruce is doing to her son. Do you know the name of the boys' school, by the way, their private school?
No.
The West Reeve Academy.
West Reeve.
It's named after Adam West and Christopher Reeve.
Oh, wow.
So she does not like Damien being a schoolboy. She feels that he's not living up to his potential as an assassin. Mm. And of course she doesn't expect Connor to actually have powers, so she makes a comment of oh, I'm sorry, boy, you may not leave this hallway alive, because they're hiding under the bleachers at school.
Yep.
But anyhow, talk about fun. It's fun and it's weird, and then they go to investigate Talia's hit list for the League, why she's in the area, and Lois is on the hit list. Oh no. So Parent Trap.
Very cool.
Dun, dun, dun.
That sounds like fun.
It was fun. Super fun. Super fun.
Super fun.
Yes.
With the Super Sons.
Yes.
Woo Boo?
Oh, it's a Will.
Woo. Very nice.
Peter G. Tomasi. He's hitting it for me, man.
Awesome. Great. All right, next up is The Brave and the Bold. Number 1, Batman and Wonder Woman to solve a murder across 2 worlds. So is this where they're trapped in that thing?
No, totally different.
Because that's immediately what I thought when I saw this cover.
That's immediately what I thought when I saw the cover too. And I'm why would they do it? I'm this makes no sense. But no, that's an Irish deity behind them. And of course he makes his presence known to Wonder Woman because something is wrong. Something is wrong in the other realm. And the only thing that Batman knows about is that the whole Irish district of Gotham, because now Gotham has an Irish district, just in case we didn't know. And everybody there is walking around like almost like a zombie or lethargic. Mm-hmm. So Batman goes to investigate, and then of course Batman gets warped into being one of them. In the meantime, Wonder Woman is being intimate with Steve Trevor when the deity shows up, and then offers to lend his deitiness to the experience, and she's like, oh no, that's not what we're doing here. And then says, I'd be honored to be with you, give me an hour to prepare. And Steve's like, you've never needed an hour to prepare for anything in your life. And then she drops her garb so that they can finish up their intimacy. And did I say that all in very, very...
Yes, it was very nice.
Yes.
Very nice.
Fun book,
Part of a 6-issue miniseries.
Part of a 6-issue miniseries, and of course, Brave and the Bold is the old title where Batman would team up with somebody new. Then there was a Brave and the Bold miniseries that featured Flash and Green Lantern. I think late '90s, early 2000s. Then we had the Brave and the Bold miniseries a few years ago, not miniseries, but series a few years ago, where it was like it was a lot of Batman team up, but whoever he teamed up with, the next issue, and this is so funny because this was an idea I had a long time ago. But whoever he teamed up with, that was the start of next issue, teaming up with somebody else. And it had a bigger,
cool.
overarching story.
That's very cool.
But there was like a lot of Batman team ups and a lot of Superman team ups that made me happy, and just lots of weird, fun things. So it's a good issue. I like the art. It's a medium woo.
I like the artwork on the cover.
Yeah, the artwork is great. The story's interesting enough. So yeah, soft woo. I'm not saying run and grab it, but if you want something a little different, like 80 Batman books came out. It felt like 80 Batman books came out this week.
When I was pulling the comics for our customers, I was like, another Batman.
Right,
like
I was
in the Signal.
Yeah, like, and I'm saying, it's a shame because I would like to support that book, but like, I'm done. I'm Batman out. Yeah. And really, my love of Wonder Woman drew me to this and was like, hey, and it's only a 6-issue. You could do it. You can commit.
Very cool. All right. So next up is Superman number 41, The Last Days Escape from Suicide Planet.
Yes. So, of course, we have the Snorks. And
of course, the Snorks. Everybody knows the Snorks.
I'm kidding. But no, they went to Superman and Son went to an alien planet last issue, and I told you they were basically like sea monkeys. And basically they
who just want to die.
No, they believe religiously this is what their God wants for them, and that this is their destiny. And they're one remaining scientific leader because they like killed all the others because they didn't want to hear it. It's like I got to find a way to save my world. Like I can do this. And Superman and his son like get to his lab and stuff, and it's like I don't understand. Like the ship, like what's happening? So the ship is enough for him and his little pod of unborn children that he and his wife made before she was murdered, can go to a new planet and survive and have new life. And then of course in that orb is everything they need to teach them, even if he can't make the trip. And he's super sure that the ship will work, but he needs Superboy and Superman to follow and watch it to make sure it gets there on time because he's never been able to test his ship. Anyhow, Superboy gets away with the eggs. The others come in and infiltrate the lab, kill the guy. He says, you know what, at least I'll be with my wife in the afterlife. And he's like, you believe in God? He goes, I believe in God. I believe in science. I believe in everything. I've seen so much. Like, I'm sure. He's like, I can be a man of God and science and whatever. I don't have to be committed to these dogmas like these people, right? So then Superman goes to the whole thing with the leader as the planet is, dying. And they're like, oh, we were wrong, to try and depower you and keep you here. You're not even from our world or our faith or whatever, but I can see you're a good person because you want to save us. But like to me, you're still a creature of evil because you're trying to get us to fight the will of our God. Yeah. So Superman's like, please let me just save whoever I can. And he's just and they're like, nope. So Superman just goes in this super explosion of the planet, finds Superboy John. And he's like, John, how are you doing? He's like, I'm fine, Dad. I'm not the planet of billions of people that just exploded. Right? Yeah. And he's like, really? And he's like, Dad, how do you do this? He's like, I feel so weird. I'm so sad that those people, like, just relinquished their lives to the death of their planet. And yet, I am so blown away by the beauty of the planet exploding. Right?
Oh, wow. That's an interesting moment to have.
And Superman said, in this line of work, I absolutely feel that way. I have been in moments of disaster and moments of great evil, and yet there is a beauty of it that I am in awe of. There's an epicness that I am captivated by in that moment. And he's like, I'm sorry, son. He goes, if you choose to follow my path, this is just the nature of what we go through, being a Superman. And then ask him, if he believes in God or whatever, and or an afterlife. And he goes, well, I believe there's something. I've seen so much as Superman, I definitely believe there's something. He goes, but something is not everything, you know. And then of course they start their trek home, you know. And then Superboy goes, you know, if we timed this just right, by the time we get home, it's Thursday, so it's apple pie and ice cream night. So still cute, even though it was like this big, heavy story.
Yeah. So it sounds like a bit of a woo.
It's a bit of. I think it was a woo because it really made me like think and feel.
All right. And last up, some Marvel love.
Yes.
The Incredible Hulk number 713, Return to Planet Hulk.
And it's actually the end of Return to Planet Hulk. Ooh. You know, oh my. So yeah, everything's going crazy. You know, Hulk and Amadeus Cho are fighting for control on the inside, and they're like, it's like if you are keeping the Hulk at bay to save your soul and not save our planet, then what are you really doing? So in the midst of fighting this guy, I already forgot his name, but in the midst of fighting this guy, and he launches that crazy nuke that he has on Amadeus Cho Hulk. And as the blast goes off, he's like they're just gonna die, and so he's like, Hulk, here, take the wheel. Yeah. You know, so inside, like, Hulk takes the wheel, and Hulk is like, I was made for this, because it's like it's nuclear weapon, and remember they used the gamma bombs to create him, so he just starts absorbing all the freaking nuclear radiation. The fallout doesn't kill anybody, he just absorbs it, and he's just a beast, and he just freaking rocks this guy, and they all cheer World Breaker and blah blah blah. And then like, you know, they're telling him and Thor to stay, and then the woman who convinced him that he should fight is like, no, we call you World Breaker for a reason. If you stay too long, you will break the world, and we basically got this place back. So get out. So he leaves. He leaves with unworthy Thor to head back to Earth. And then of course, like, you know, he has a weird smirk on his face, and Thor asks him what's wrong, and he's like, no, everything's fine. And inside his mind, that crazy machine Hulk is at the wheel, like, laughing, and in the trunk chained up is Amadeus Cho, as if to say the Hulk personality completely dominated and took over. Yep. What else was really good about this? Oh, the afterwards was Super Skrull in the heart of the new Sakaar planet, right? Finding one of the Infinity Stones. Oh. And it's the Infinity Stone, and it's green, so I'm assuming Soul Gem is what rebirthed this planet. And again, Soul Gem, all the more reason to rebirth the planets. Yeah. So I was like, well, good. Countdown to whatever the hell we're going to do.
Infinity Countdown just came out today as well.
Yeah, there we go. I hope it's good.
Countdown?
I hope it's good. Because although I did like the Adam Warlock special. Yeah. But I don't know, like, I wish I was, like, feeling more, like, fired up about it, but I'm not. Like, I just feel like Infinity Gauntlet was really good, and then, you know, they capitalized it on it with Infinity War and Infinity Crusade, and, like, Crusade was definitely, like, the worst, and in my opinion, anyway.
I'm just so surprised. I mean, just, what, 4 years ago?
The Hickman one?
Yeah, they destroyed, they collapsed the Ultimates universe.
And again, I wasn't even really happy with that story. Yeah. You know, because I was just like, oh, okay, like the gems don't work. I'm like, there should have been more Thanos and more Black Order. Like, I just felt like there should have been more. And anyhow, it didn't seem like enough to me.
All right, well, that's gonna wrap up our.
Oh, and then so World War Hulk 2 begins next issue of Hulk.
Very cool. And where are you on the woo-boo scale in this?
Well, I actually had a lot of fun with this because I really thought Return to Planet Hulk, or AKA Planet Hulk Part 2, I really thought, like, you're out of ideas, this is going to suck, this is, the same people who made the first one, this is really good.
Very cool. Awesome. All right, well, let's jump into what did we watch?
I wouldn't worry about that. We're going to jump right into what did we watch?
What did we watch? There was something we watched this weekend that seemed pretty good.
A little bit majestic.
Yeah, what was it? Oh, it was Black Panther.
so good.
So,
Honestly, I don't even think it was. I think it was so good. It wasn't even worth the build up. It's just like, why haven't you seen Black Panther yet? What is your excuse? You should be seeing Black Panther. The whole family should be there.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. It was well. First off, let's throw up some numbers. So, 3-day opening weekend total, $202 million.
Mm-hmm.
5th largest American opening weekend box office ever. It just beat out Avengers: Age of Ultron to become the 2nd highest MCU opening weekend ever, and that's just the 3-day total. The 4-day total, $235 million, which, by the way, it made more than Justice League's entire run in 4 days.
Worldwide.
No, domestic.
Oh, so okay, so because I know Justice League made more worldwide.
Yeah, domestic.
Okay,
It made more than Justice League domestically in just 4 days. Yes. This movie was pretty good.
It was really good, and I'm out of my mind when I read people bashing this movie. There's so many things that they're so wrong about.
It's funny because I've seen it twice, and there's a lot of subtlety to this that people are not understanding, and like even in the way like Hollywood movies structure themselves with cultural elements. Typically, you have the main character is a white guy, and you see the culture of whatever they're exploring through his eyes and his lens, and he's the main character, and you're experiencing the awe of this culture through him, and that's called the white gaze, and that's something that has been a trope in Hollywood for years. This movie turns that on its head, where we are introduced to Wakanda right off the bat. We get to know the technology and the advancements of Wakanda, the characters, and then it isn't until, halfway through the movie when Martin Freeman's character Everett Ross wakes up in Wakanda from being healed that he sees the wonder of the culture that we already accept.
Yeah.
And in a typical Hollywood movie, that's when the audience would first see Wakanda.
Yeah.
Is when that character wakes up, and that's not what it is, in this movie. And for him to be able to turn those tropes upside down and on its head, and you almost see, the dopiness or the buffoonery of that character's being in awe of this technology at this point in the movie, because we've already lived with it for an hour, So
and the point he's just treated like such. He's treated like such a secondary character because it is the reverse.
It's
and he's literally told to shut up.
Yes.
Quite often, which was just hysterical.
It was amazing, and the way that this movie manipulates those tropes and ideals is so subtle that people don't realize how important and how revolutionary this film really is. Just in the way movies are structured and told. And I think a lot of people are missing that, and that's why there's a lot of layers to this movie, and people are not seeing all of those layers. They're just taking it at face value, and they're not understanding, the depth of it.
I'm sorry. As far as I'm concerned, it's like those people, they just don't want to understand. Also, I actually considered unfriending people immediately because it was so wild. So one of my Facebook friends is like, this movie wasn't that action oriented, and I'm like, it was nonstop action.
And then you have other people arguing that there was too much action, that there wasn't enough dramatic elements in it because they really enjoyed the second half of the movie, and they wish there was more of that, and there was too much action.
Listen, I love this movie. The first time we see Black Panther in action, it ends on a very hopeful note, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the first time, and that hopeful note is kind of delivered by what is it, Okoye?
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of delivered by her, where she like, gives that little smile and nod to those kids. And I love that. I love that because obviously his presence was already like that, like the gift. But like her giving a little smile and nod was like that little extra push. Love that. And then like the movie ended on a hopeful note. Yeah. But of course it could be read differently. But I thought, the movie ended on Black Panther not wanting to make the mistakes that his people of Wakanda have made in the past.
Not only that, but I feel like it was also also a very topical conversation and reflection of things that are happening in our world today. Wakanda wants to be, wants to keep itself closed off from everyone. It doesn't want to lend its fruitfulness, its wealth out to the rest of the world. So it has literally built a wall around the city and cloaked itself so that it cannot. And one of T'Challa's advisors even says at one point, when you let the refugees in, you let all of their problems in.
Yeah.
And it just, the conversations that are happening in this country especially were in this film in much different ways, in reverse perspectives, in a lot of different things. The whole, the fact that after that big opening action sequence, we're all of a sudden before that action sequence, we're in Oakland, California in 1992. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wait, is this a Fresh Prince spinoff? Like, what's going on, And then to come back to that moment and to talk about the struggles and the perspectives of certain classes of people within that time frame and even today, and to have those conversations centered around this fictional comic book universe. I was so impressed and blown away by how the narrative was crafted around those issues and how it gently handled them without being preachy, without being over the top, but still being relevant and having that discussion and being engaging in that way. I was very happy and impressed with all of that. And then to add the fact that it was just well acted, well executed. Production quality was absolutely off the charts. Yeah. And I just, I was taken to another world and taken on an emotional journey, and it was incredible. And that's one thing I hate about some reviewers and stuff is they don't talk enough about the emotional journey and the emotional narrative and how it affects audiences. And that's why anybody goes to the movies to begin with, is to be engaged emotionally with the characters and to take a ride.
Listen, so by the way, this is real love that I didn't go Thursday night, that I didn't go Friday, that I went Saturday, so I could see it with Brian. Mm-hmm. That's real love that I waited 3 days. Because I wanted to go to the 6 p.m. fan event Thursday night so bad, but he had to work. And Friday, he took us a day of recovery, and I just sucked it all up. And Saturday, I'm like, I don't care what happens, we are going. And then he picked up the tickets at 2 o'clock for the 6 o'clock showing. Mm-hmm. And then when we met up with our friends had to get tickets for a later showing because 6 o'clock was sold out. Yeah. And we sat down, and it was amazing. And the theater was amazing. And the girls sitting next to us were wonderful and beautifully dressed. And they were totally captivated by the film. And it was not only were we having a wonderful time watching the movie, but every time I looked over at them and watched them react, it was like so great. And again, it was like when Brian and I went to go see Last Jedi, which was a completely different theater. Mm-hmm. There was still people like going woo and clapping like in our audience, and it wasn't me, and it was great. Mm-hmm. Although I did some too. I love Shuri so much. Hey, Pat. Mm-hmm. And like she's like, I don't know, between her and M'Baka, like I just like, oh, I love them both so much.
I hated M'Baka at the beginning, like during the challenge, and then later on, when they go to ask him for his help and he has those comedic moments, I just was dying. I thought it was so funny. And the thing is like at first I was like, I actually said to myself, if Adam sees this, he's going to be like, oh, it's just Disney jokes. Because at first I thought it was out of place, but then I realized that he knows T'Challa's okay.
Yeah.
and so he's okay making jokes like that at that moment, and then so it was yeah, it was. I was just really impressed. I was really happy. I did have a few issues with the speed at which a few of the plot things unfolded. Mostly the internal, like, Wakandan Civil War element. Like after Killmonger becomes the new king, and I felt that there was not enough resistance there, and then to have his friend,
as far as
one of his best friends, like quickly turn so quickly without seeing more of a struggle.
You're the second person to mention this to me, and do you know what my answer is to that? I don't know about you, but I've lived through this, so it was fine by me. I've lived through it. I've lived through it personally. I've lived through it politically. I've lived through it. So I sat there and said, "Yep, art imitating life, imitating art."
Okay. And that's fine. For me, it was just...
Because tell me there's not a tiny piece of you that understands completely what I mean.
There's a tiny piece.
So I was like, well, this is how it goes, people.
I just felt like all I would have wanted is maybe a quick 30-second, 2-minute, something where, hit that character has to struggle with the decision of going against the traditions of his people, basically. When T'Challa returns and basically says,
there should have been a moment of struggle there. I mean, but the struggle happens.
And then the infighting starts happening.
And then he found his place very quick. He should have listened to his woman right away. Because she's like, he's alive. The challenge is not complete. Yeah. And I was like, yes.
It was. I mean, there were just a couple of little things, but for me, those were very minor compared to the quality of everything else, and just like, and
the most amazing royal guard ever.
The Dora Milaje are.
Oh my god!
And how James Bondish did this movie feel? Like he goes down to his sister's lab, and she's
like, "Look at all the cool things I have."
And then they go to the casino, and like they walk out on the balcony, and then they're there, and like just very like, and they were right because they said, I think Ryan Coogler said this before, and he's like, "Oh, it's got a James Bond type of feel," and I was like, "Man, it really does!" Like, in all the best ways. So very excited.
Hey, Harlan. Oh, hey, Larry. You are the second person to say that. Oh, Larry's referring to you.
I think he's referring to me.
Yeah. No, all right, but it's funny because I think Larry and I both know who's the first person to say that because we have the mutual Facebook friend.
So I was very happy with it. I think it's a very important film. I'm very excited for my kids to be able to watch this at some point and see, I did superheroes that don't look like them, and
but you know what? I think it won't even faze them. I am most excited seeing children watch this film.
Yeah.
Of everything, of every background, because they're just so freaking excited with the movie. Yeah. They're just so excited to see all this Black Panther action. Yeah. And I love that. Like, I love that the movie can still be that.
Yeah.
And what an incredible cast.
It was everybody. I mean, everybody was on point. There was no Andy Serkis was amazing. I wanted more Andy Serkis.
I did too. I like Claw, and he's technically in 2 Marvel films, and that's it. Yeah. So fun.
Very cool. I thought Killmonger was one of the best, if not the best, Marvel villain we've had.
He's an amazing Marvel villain because you can empathize with him. And one of the things that I've found in my conflict with people online is they think that, or they perceive this as T'Challa is the embodiment of privilege, period, and he's the embodiment of rebellion, period. By when do we put the spoiler alert up?
It's okay.
So spoilers.
It does say spoil. It says spoil. Oh, it does. It says spoiler alert in the description.
Okay, good. So by killing Killmonger, right?
Mm.
It's like, well, you've just crushed rebellion, right? And I'm just
Yeah.
like, no, it's not. It's that superficially he embodies rebellion, just like superficially T'Challa is entitlement.
And the thing is that Killmonger's not wrong,
right?
but his methods are flawed.
Oh no, his methods are flawed, and
And-
it really is monstrous because
Right.
because what he really
It's
wants.
his method, not that his methods are flawed, but his methods are the wrong way to go about it.
Right, because it is more sinister. He
Right.
wants everyone to experience the pain that he's experienced.
And did people not realize that T'Challa ends up basically agreeing with Killmonger by the end of the movie, and then doing it in the appropriate way?
But that's the thing. That's what people of privilege do. That's what they do. And that's how you could. And I'm saying, if you look at it superficially,
Right.
he just did what another creature of privilege would do. You know.
Sure.
And
Make the right choice.
right, but it's usually a choice brought out of guilt. So here, let me throw some money at the problem and open up some.
But
community.
he was struggling with that choice before Killmonger.
right, but now there's
That-
much less
and-
struggle. And I think this is more than just let me open.
I
some
mean, because what's her name even says that.
an idea never dies. Good one, Pat.
And the thing is that what's her name? Lupita Nyong'o's character even says that at the beginning of the movie that she says,
Oh my God,
we should
Nakia.
we should be out there. We
Yes.
should be out there.
Well,
helping
and then
everything.
she's in charge of that. That's why he puts her in charge of it at the
Yeah.
end of the movie.
Yeah.
But anyhow, what I like about it is the outreach centers are not just outreach centers.
Right.
There's outreach, education centers, and
Yeah.
centers for sharing technology.
Yeah.
So it was like, no, we're not going to just do like the same old crap. We're going to share and expand, and we're going to start in these neighborhoods, and then telling the UN
Yeah.
flat out, we're going to lead by example.
Which, by the way, does that scene feel like any other scene in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Yeah, Iron Man. When he
Which Ryan Coogler loves that scene so much that this scene in Black Panther actually was supposed to be in the movie, but it was in the mid-credit scene because he wanted to keep it in. But it's supposed to be an homage reflection of that scene from Iron Man.
And well, you know what? That was at the end of the Iron Man film. This was in the credits. I feel like it's right.
So it was. I understand what they're saying, and I think, but that's the great thing about this movie is I feel like you can agree with some things T'Challa is saying,
I think that's the whole
and some
point.
things that Eric Killmonger is saying,
Yeah.
and then the problem is you got and that they're not able to resolve those things, and because Killmonger is bent on such revenge, he can't see the opportunities to work with T'Challa instead of, just the way he goes about it, and T'Challa being the upstanding, the
Trying to be diplomatic.
right.
Especially because remember, like we've met him before. We met him in Civil War, and we took a hero's journey with him in Civil War. Okay.
I don't know. They have a lot of vibranium.
They got a lot of vibranium. They're gonna keep it
I
on
don't know,
lock.
Edgar. They have a lot of vibranium. I think they'll be fine.
But Edgar's saying Wakanda will be broke when they open up to the world.
Yeah.
But I feel like ever since the events of Civil War, he's trying to be this much more diplomatic leader. Worse yet, that this is supposed to take place a week after the movie Civil War.
Yeah.
And so like I know a couple people mentioned they have an issue with the time frame. Nothing happened in the movie that gave me issue with the time frame.
No, I don't know why anybody would have an issue with
I can't. I no one gave me a specific example to run on. But I did think it was surprising that it's like 1 week after Civil War. I'm like, wow, that's tight.
Yeah.
I'm like, so what does that mean? Infinity War is going to be like 2 weeks after Doctor Strange? Like, how does this all fit in?
Well, I mean, it's weird because Ant-Man and the Wasp is also after Civil War.
Yes, definitely.
And it comes out after Infinity War.
Yeah, but she has a tiny, tiny role. Pun intended.
She's in Infinity War.
Yeah, but she said it's a
Yeah.
tiny role. But I'm really hoping it's a double entendre from her.
Yeah.
Like I really am. Like it's a tiny role because she's tiny.
Right,
Like
right.
that's what I'm hoping for.
The time frames are a little weird with all of this stuff. I think that I'm assuming much like right before Avengers, like Incredible Hulk and Iron Man 2 take place at the same time. And then Thor, actually, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, and Thor all take place at the same time. Because Coulson leaves in the middle of Iron Man 2 to go to New Mexico where they find the hammer. And in Iron Man 2, on the TV, is the news report of the Hulk smashing all those cars at Betsy Ross's school.
Is it?
Yep.
Oh, I guess that makes some sense. But the Hulk came out immediately after Iron Man.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But if you watch the movie and if you look at a timeline that people read up on the internet, they line up like that in that they're all done. Those all take place at the same time. They slightly overlap, especially Thor and Iron Man 2, but they're all at the same time. And then obviously Captain America takes place in the past. But Civil War, because Spider-Man: Homecoming's right after Civil War.
Yep.
And
then becomes months after Civil War.
Yeah.
So it's funny.
I think what we're gonna find is that Black Panther, Spider-Man: Homecoming, what was the other one we were just talking about? Oh, Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yep.
And Thor Ragnarok all take place shortly after Civil War.
No, because Spider-Man does not.
Oh, Ragnarok. No, Ragnarok takes place before that. Well, it takes place over the course of.
Yeah, right. Because Spider-Man takes the place over the course of months.
Right, but what I'm saying is that they all of these movies take place. At the same
begin
time.
To take place
after
Civil War.
Yeah. Like they overlap in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
So, Edgar's asking us if you had to pick a superhero personality, not powers, to replace with your own, who would you choose? That's a good question because normally it's like, what powers do you have? So a superhero personality. Are we talking superhero personality or alter ego personality or both?
No, I think he means superhero personality.
Superhero persona? All right, I would say...
If I were being super selfish, I would pick Batman, even though I never really want to pick Batman. Just because with his personality, I would always be training, and I'd probably have the most amazing body ever.
Yep.
But I don't think at all I would be happy. Although I could choose Nightwing and be a little bit lighter on myself.
I'm going to go in a weird place and say Gizmo Duck from DuckTales. He's my favorite superhero of all time, and I just love the idea of an accountant becoming a superhero because he swore. And I love Gizmo Duck's attitude, like when he's Gizmo Duck, and especially when he goes to Duckburg and faces off, like tries to be a hero in Duckburg, not Duckburg, not Duckburg. What's the city Darkwing Duck is in?
St. Canard.
St. Canard, right? So.
Well, if I were, but I'm not gonna pick Bruce. I mean, someone who's broken has a cocky attitude.
Edgar, you have an obsession with people going bankrupt.
Well, that is kind of true.
Like first Wakanda, then Cliff Batman.
I mean, I will say the personality I admire most, comic book wise, is Wonder Woman's. You know, actually, and my all-time favorite as far as personality goes is like Donna Troy.
Yeah,
of course.
Chris, so Larry says, so who would win in a fight between Black Panther and the Winter Soldier? Well, currently Bucky, as we saw in the post-credit scene, does not have an arm at the moment.
I'd still, in every way, shape, and form, I would give it to Black Panther.
I would probably give it to Black Panther too, because the thing is like, unless he has a vibranium arm, and even if he does have a vibranium arm, I'm pretty sure vibranium claws could cut through it.
Yeah.
And Black
Panther.
Well, no,
they were kind of like just like clash against each other.
That's true. I'm gonna say Black Panther, and then Chris actually gives the swear word that
blathering blatherskite
that Fenton Crackshell says to accidentally get into to the Gizmo Duck suit. So let's sum up our thoughts about Black Panther. Other than it was amazing and I really enjoyed it.
I can't get over it. I changed my background to Shuri, Okoye, Nakia, and Queen Ramonda because I was like, yay!
And when I watched it the second time, I looked at every scene and I tried to see if there was anything that felt excess. And that's always something that I feel like is you can have good execution, good action, good acting, solid editing, all of that good stuff. But if there are scenes that do not serve the plot or the characters, then that's the mark. That's one mark to me that it's not a great movie. This movie, when I watched it the second time, I was looking for those excess pieces.
No, I think every moment served it.
There were not the only excess moments were sort of in some of the action, but even then it was also showcasing the skills and the technology of Wakanda.
Boy, did it showcase skills and technology.
Yeah.
It was just amazing. You know what? Oh my God. I think about like the movies I've loved from Marvel, and probably my absolute top three are this and like interchangeably top three. This, Winter Soldier, and people give me crap about it all the time, but Spider-Man: Homecoming. And one of my love affairs with Spider-Man: Homecoming is also like every time I watch it, I smile, right? But also everything that happens in that movie serves the development of Peter or the Vulture.
It's a very tight movie.
It's really so good, and like I was telling somebody the other day how every time I watch Wonder Woman, I love everything until we get to the end, and then that's when it unravels for me, and I just that is my only flaw with that movie. That movie is like a 10 for me until we get to the end, and then boom.
And just a heads up, right before Avengers Infinity War, Cliff and I are going to be doing our top 10 Marvel movies of all time.
Yeah, that means I'm going to have a Marvel marathon.
Are we going to include non-MCU movies? No, so only MCU movies.
Right, because it has to be things that were bringing us to Infinity War.
Top 10 MCU movies. So Edgar is asking, he's saying, imagine a superhero movie that is unedited, not like in real life, but in the universe. So I think what he means is like a real time.
Yeah.
Like a superhero movie that takes place over 2 hours. I think that would be great. Flash movies would suck.
In that manner, because,
Oh.
Yeah.
Especially if it's from his perspective.
If it's from his perspective, it would be awesome. I mean, awful. So, Larry said cool. Thank you, Larry.
And Bella said she likes the strong women that don't need superpowers to kick your ass. Yes, that is true. Like in this movie has a lot of kick-ass women who don't have superpowers, and that's really awesome.
Just years and years of training.
That's interesting.
Apparently we have Howard the Duck fans.
Yeah, Howard. Can I just be honest with you? I love Howard the Duck, the character. The movie's terrible.
Oh, the movie's awful. The character's great.
Yeah, I would love. I hope he's definitely going to be in the MCU again. He's been in the MCU twice. He was in a post-credit scene in Guardians of the Galaxy, and then he was in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Was he in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, or was he in Thor Ragnarok?
Thor Ragnarok.
Was it Thor Ragnarok?
Yeah, he's hanging out.
He's in Thor Ragnarok, and then he's got to be in it again. I can't wait. All right, so let's move on to what did we play, and for that, I went to the New York Toy Fair this weekend, as you were well aware. I saw some really cool stuff, so I just want to go over.
It's so different when it's not Comic-Con, isn't it?
Let me just tell you. So first off, if you've ever been to the Javits Center is huge, and you know what it's like at Comic-Con when there's 80,000 people crammed into that space.
Yeah.
This is like, it was the same area as Comic-Con, possibly even more booths, because they had the entire bottom floor was all booths. like everywhere. Like every section was booths. No, I have not heard of Jam in DC. Have you heard of Jam in DC? What does the Jam stand for? So
I definitely feel like I should know this.
So the New York Toy Fair is a trade show for retailers, publishers of all kinds of toys, board games and things, figurines and stuff. So I was lucky enough to go.
He means gems on a Saturn. Yeah, I think he means gems on a Saturn.
Oh.
Then yes, I know. Gem.
Oh, from DC Comics.
Yes. Pimp with mind control.
So,
oh, that's his look, but that's awful.
Isn't that kind of like? I mean, you could argue that Purple Man
is worse, much worse, much worse.
All right, so one of the first places I stopped at was Blue Orange Games. They had some really cool games. This is Maki Stack, where you have to stack these wooden components that look like sushi elements based on the card. So you might have a card that has like an upside down soy bottle on top of a maki roll on top of this, right? But if you're playing in a group, you play on teams, and one person is blindfolded who's trying to build this, and then another person is verbally telling them what to do.
Oh my God.
What to put on. Okay? If you're playing two players and you want to play against each other, you use chopstick mode, where you have to build it, but you can only use two fingers to place everything. And then if you want to play two players cooperative, then you each use a finger and try to pick up together to put it on. So I thought that was pretty cool. I really like that. This is another one that they have coming out called Tofu Kingdom. And
what a lovely Ziploc bag.
It's very cool. It's a nice little zipper bag that's hard metal on the front and on the back, or possibly wood. It's very sturdy. And this game is really cool. So you take the Prince and Princess Tofu, and then two other characters and then any number of characters to equal the number of players. Okay, so you have to have at least King Tofu, a Princess Tofu, and the Prince. And what you do is you shuffle up the cards and you deal them out. Okay, except for the Prince. Now and the Prince. Now whoever the Prince is, he's trying to find Princess Tofu, and everybody else they'll all know who each other is, right? And then there's three questions. You can't really see it here, but there's three questions that the Prince can ask. Now, if he asks the person who is the princess a question, she has to tell the truth. If she asks, the queen, the guard, or the other character there, they have to lie. And if she asks the maid or the spy, they can choose whether or not to tell the truth. Okay? And he has three questions that he can ask. And he asks each person one of them. So he can only ask one question once. And he asks them each. Then, after he's asked all three...
This is like a simplified murder mystery dinner party.
Then he gets to ask one person one of these questions. So basically, like, he's trying to figure out who's lying and who's telling the truth. And then, based on those answers, the prince... they have to figure out who is who, or who the princess is. Basically, if he can guess who the princess is, then he wins. So that game is pretty cool. This is Heimlich and Company. This is a very interesting game. Everybody is dealt a card that assigns them a color of a character, and then there's one Gesundheit.
Excuse me.
And then there's one piece is unassigned, so it doesn't have a player attached to it. Now on your turn, you roll the dice. And you can move any piece to that number. Anybody's piece to that number. If somebody lands on the safe piece, the one with the safe on it, everybody scores the number of the building that they're on.
Oh.
And then whoever has the most points at the end of the game wins. So it's very interesting because you can move other people's pieces. You don't know who everybody is, and you score wherever you are. So you could strategically, place somebody else on that 7 while you're on the higher one, or while you're on the lower one, or whatever, And that safe, I believe, can move too. But I thought this was a very interesting game in the fact that you You can move anybody's pieces, and you have to choose who's getting points. Like if you decide to score, other people are going to get points. So I thought it was a very interesting game.
Sounds definitely German style board game.
This was a kid's game that I saw called Clack, and basically it's you flip over, you roll the dice, and one's got a color and one's got a symbol, and whatever color of the symbol pops up, you have to pick up one of those pieces, and they're magnetized, and then you have to jump and get all the other pieces before the other person does. So you roll the dice, and then everybody rushes to try to get all those pieces. Okay? And then you just do that over and over again until all the pieces are picked up, and then whoever has the highest stack wins. And that's sort of like the basic kids version of the game, but I thought that was really cool. I got a couple of samples of this to play with my kids, and they loved it. They thought
Sounds
it was great.
violent, okay.
These are cool. This sounds violent, yes. So these are cool. These are inflatable dolls, basically, with cloth wrappers on top of them. So there's a little TChalla over here. He's probably this big, okay, and he's huge. He's huge, okay. It's very cool. It's very very soft, whatever. And I think the retail on that was $29.99. They have these giant Groots. Groot was probably 4 or 5 feet tall. The Iron Man. They had drafts in there too as well. So these will be coming out soon. I thought these were really cool. The thing I like about this is that it's cheap for its size. It is easily washable. Because my kids get stuff all over stuff. And it's still soft and playable, and you can jump around and horse around with it and stuff. So
that's
very
cute.
Cool.
I have to consider it for someone of mine. Wow, look at all that FAO Schwartz.
FAO Schwartz. So FAO Schwartz was a famous toy store in New York City that actually closed in the last few years. And it was famously featured in the movie Big. And you can see the giant piano there, and a guy dressed like Tom Hanks from Big. So that was pretty fun.
They what do you call it? Dylan's Candy Bar. Recently,
it was
collaborated with them.
Yeah,
I know. I bought stuff at Christmas.
Very cool. Some higher end Wonder Woman collectibles there. My wife actually bought I don't know if it was Barbie, but it was like a Barbie size, the one in the blue dress with the sword.
Nice.
She really liked that. This was an interesting company. They have a few games. They have an escape room for kids, but this tic-tac-tongue game was very cool you put these, those party things that you blow.
Yes.
So you put on this frog nose mouth with one of those, and then you each do that, and then you put up 3 cards. And they're red on one side, green on the other, and they have different point values, and then you have to knock them over onto your color to win. And I thought that my kids would just love that. They would
funny.
Eat that right up. So I thought that was a cool little game. Big wheels for adults.
Huh?
Okay,
the time has come.
Yes. I almost jumped on that thing and rode it around the convention center. Star Wars Legion.
Oh, that's something you guys have talked about here a lot.
Yes, Star Wars Legion is going to be a huge miniatures game. This is unpainted miniatures, tabletop infantry battle game from Fantasy Flight, so you know it's high quality.
And it looks it.
It looks absolutely incredible. This is, these pictures don't do it justice, but there's a lot of cool stuff happening. This game releases March 23rd, and.
I'm being forced choked by
and we're actually going to have a demo here in the store, I think the middle of March. And then we'll also have a demo in Poughkeepsie later in the month. And we're on release weekend so people can come in and try it out. They're also releasing an ATST and a Snowspeeder at the same time with the launch, and then they'll come out with other expansions as they go. But if you're familiar with tabletop miniatures,
Millennium Falcon.
They're probably not going to do ships. It's probably just going to be ground-based units because they already have 2 ship-based games, miniature games. But if you've ever thought about getting into Warhammer or Flames of War or any of that kind of stuff, but you just there hasn't been a property yet that's gotten you excited and you're a big Star Wars fan, this is definitely something to jump into. If you do pre-order it through Kerwin's Game Store, either online or in one of our stores, you are going to save 10% off of your release wave order. So that's both the starter and the expansions if you pre-order those. So check that out. Stuffed Fables, this game just recently released. This is another tabletop miniatures game, but it's for kids and it's told through a storybook. So it's an adventure storybook. It's about this little girl who's sort of like approaching these momentous moments in a young child's life, like sleeping in a big bed by herself, potty training, like things like this. And what happens is that these problems that she's facing manifest themselves in the dreams, and her stuffed animals have to battle against these more aggressive toys to accomplish these goals. And it's told as a story, and as the story progresses, a new map unfolds, and it's very interesting and very cool.
It's too bad that this wasn't like based, or they didn't collaborate with Stuff of Legend.
Oh, yeah.
Because that story in this format, I think feels like it would be amazing.
Also, if you
Pat, you're gonna try Star Wars, yeah.
Also, if you check out next to the Stuffed Fables is a Choose Your Own Adventure card game.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's cooperative, and you can see it. It's underneath that. It's underneath the book there. It's Choose Your Own Adventure, and it's sort of like you go through the story and you choose which way to go, and then you pull out the card that it's associated with that. So it's very cool. I'm looking forward to that as well. These were 6-foot statues from NECA. These things, I mean, the Wonder Woman was taller than me. These were absolutely incredible. I thought they looked fantastic.
Spidey looks great, particularly. Yeah,
I thought Spidey and Wonder Woman looked really good. Batman looks good. The Harley one, I've seen in person before. But yeah, they were very cool. Some Hero Clicks. These are from the Infinity War Colossal booster sets, where you're going to get 1 2x2 figure and 4 standard figures. We got Coulson's Lola car. I believe that's Devil Dinosaur.
I want to believe that.
But there's a monkey riding it?
Things happen, man. Things happen.
We also see the Ninja Turtles Unplugged set in the 16-bit style. This is from like the games like Turtles in Time and games like that, and the different colored foot soldiers. So those should be pretty cool. There's the box art for that there.
It's funny. It's such a weird,
I don't know how I feel about it.
I don't either, but you know.
Here's some Black Panther statues.
Yeah.
There's
some DC
Plastic
statues.
Man.
Wonder Woman looks great.
Wonder Woman, yep. There's from The Dark Knight. There's Carrie Kelly and Bruce Wayne. Some other various statues.
A lot of Iron Man.
A lot of Iron Man.
I
There's
see Iron Patriot.
Ooh, this is a company called QXM, I think, but these badges, these Discovery badges and the Star Trek badges in general are also sold through Anovos, which is basically like they're basically like a costume company, but they're like high quality like Star Trek like cosplay costumes that you can just buy and just put right on in cosplay. And it's funny, they got the license back for Star Trek, the original one, or maybe it was Star Trek Beyond, I forget. But they produced the badges that they wore in the Star Trek reboot movies.
Nice.
And then when Discovery came along, the costume designers or the prop designers designed the badges for Discovery and then sent them to this company and said, "Can you print these, please? Can you make these?" So they made the badges and then sent them back. So this company actually makes the badges that are shown on the show.
Nice.
And they have the license to
talk about the double tipping.
Yeah, and then they have the license to reproduce them. I have the engineering Discovery badge, but they just released at this show the Black Ops badge on the left there, and then they also have the cadet badge over there. They also do very nice figurines for Star Trek.
Look at Khan
over there, both Khans too. You see old Khan
Yep.
over there. So these are very cloth, and they just looked incredible. They look absolutely incredible. If I had a money tree in my front yard, I would have all of these.
If you had a money tree in your front yard, you'd be in a lot of trouble. you want the money tree in the backyard, the closed backyard.
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah, Chris. You know what, Chris? Let's talk because I think if you're available for Free Comic Book Day in May, I think we'd love to have you come in. He has a Ghost Rider cosplay that, and he's. I think you're also working on a Shredder one too, right? Like Shredder from the cartoon. So yeah, so this should be pretty.
Oh,
cool.
Pat, you're gonna be. Wait, first of all, he said he got it, so I think he has Star Wars stuff. That's awesome. You're gonna be here in June. Yay! Come visit me. Let me see you.
This is one of my favorite things I saw at the convention.
That's hilarious.
Is brand new set from, I forget who makes this, but this is the little, wooden peg people. This is a TOS Bridge play set that's available. They have, look at all the TNG characters. After I saw what was on the display, they took me into a little closed off room that had unfinalized stuff, and I saw some other Star Trek characters from possibly my favorite.
This is cute, and it reminded me of something unrelated.
Really?
Because I guess they remind me of those old porcelain figurines.
Oh, yep.
And then
like the nesting dolls?
Like the nesting dolls.
So they also have nesting dolls.
Of course they do.
It's amazing. They had one, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but they had one that was Raven from Teen Titans Go, and each one was a different color and expression.
Raven? Yes.
Yeah, it was so good. Actually, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. That might have been in the one that I...
Oh, yeah, who knows? Nothing happened.
Allegedly they have.
Allegedly. So anyhow, my mother and I, how dare I carried the boxes, right? My mother's the one who's been sorting stuff to send to friends in Mexico and in Puerto Rico, right? And so this morning we pulled some stuff out of the basement, and heaven forbid, it's so narrow coming out of my basement. I threw one of the boxes, and I'm so grateful the heavens didn't punish me for that. Because when we got upstairs and I put everything on the table and we opened them, inside one of them, my mother thinks my sister got it for me, but I have no idea, was a Lennox porcelain Superman Christmas ornament. Oh, wow. I don't know who gave it to me, but it was beautiful. I took that and ran and hid it in my closet, and I was just so excited.
Wow. Very cool. Yeah, so I was super excited about these. I wish they had a TNG playset. That's the only thing I wish they had.
It's a matter of time, man. Matter of time.
But yeah, so they've had these out for a little bit. The Star Trek playset is exclusive through Entertainment Earth. And they have new packaging coming out in the fall that's more reflective of the retro style.
Oh my God! Wait, do I see Supergirl people?
They got everybody. There's
Martian Manhunter too.
There's Black Canary,
Green Arrow.
There's Robin. There's Batman. And that's like old school. They have everybody. They have Marvel too. They have everybody.
That's crazy.
They have everybody. It's insane.
This may be the new thing after Pops.
It's gonna be the new. Oh, Pops haven't gone anywhere. As a matter of fact.
Oh, look at this giant
Segway, Mr. Segway over here. That is a giant Thor Ragnarok Hulk pop. It's just huge. And they're partnering with Pez, and they're gonna have pop heads on the Pez dispensers. So that's kind of cool. There was this company that had these really high-end, Monopoly, Scrabble board games. This is Transformers Monopoly in a fold-out thing. Just absolutely gorgeous. Again, when my money tree grows, this will be mine.
High-end, this is, very expensive?
This one is metal and glass.
Oh, wow.
They had Monopoly boards that were wood and gold trim with gold pieces,
the old school
gold
ones,
plated.
Yeah.
And on a Lazy Susan, Scrabble boards. They had Scrabble boards that were they had a really nice clue wood where it was glass top, and then the board was this thick. It was this thick, and there were dioramas of the rooms underneath the glass. So 3D, doll size, miniature rooms underneath the glass. It was incredible. It was amazing. So this is very cool. There's some pictures of the pieces.
It is really beautiful.
It was just really nice.
How much is it? $500?
No, and as a matter of fact, the I don't know how much this one specifically, but they had the Monopoly set or the Scrabble set that had the gold-plated trim where the letters said it, and it was glass and thick, and everything was sliding in on the Lazy Susan. Retails for $150.
That's not horrible.
No, not at all. You might be seeing them show up in Poughkeepsie if Steve has his way. And then one of the last things I saw was the Eagle Moss Star Trek ship collection. This was at the Diamond
I see a
booth.
Superman in there.
Yeah, this was at the Diamond booth, so they had a lot of different figurines. There's the Discovery and the Shenzhou.
Yeah.
But yeah, very cool. And then that was it for my Toy Fair experience. Oh, also, I got part of the swag I got was this awesome Superman a thing on the back that you press the button here. You press this, and it pops out. So then it becomes a stand.
Nice.
And then also you can keep. I was keeping my Metro card in there from when I was in.
You can keep an emergency card there.
Yeah,
something.
you can keep your credit card or whatever. So very cool. The only thing is it blocks my fingerprint reader, but it has a little curve in there so that you can put it lower or whatever. I just happen to cover it up there, but yeah,
I have been eyeballing it all night.
Yeah, so very excited. Steve got a Batman one, but I think we're going to be carrying these two at least in Poughkeepsie. But I was very excited to get this. It's funny thing is the night before I tried to watch something on my phone on a table and it kept falling over, and I kept losing my Metro card in my pockets. So when I got this, the very first booth we went to, we saw these and he's like, "All you got to do is post a picture on Instagram with it on," and I was like, "Done, done. Give me the Superman." So,
Yay! I love that.
So yeah. So yeah, it was very cool. I had a really good time. It was one of the best trade show experiences I've ever had. There was not a lot of people there, so it was, free flowing. And because I had a buyer's badge, everybody was really nice to me. So we got shunned from the Lego booth.
Why?
Oh, Lego is huge. If you don't have an account with them, you can't talk to them.
Oh my god.
And if you can't spend millions of dollars, you don't have an account with them. So
I need to be there to be charming.
biggest booth there. Guess who the biggest booth was out of all the toy manufacturers? Who had the biggest floor area space?
Hasbro?
Well, hang on. Booth-wise, Mattel had the entire Crystal Palace.
Oh, Mattel was like, we're not here to play games.
Yeah. But there was another company that had booth space-wise the largest area. It's not Hasbro.
Okay. Who's left lately? Like, say something wild to me, like Kenner or something.
Melissa and Doug.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever heard of them?
Not really.
They're a huge maker of like wooden retro toys that are good quality and like don't contain, like chemicals and stuff. And they had, the size booths at Comic-Con, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like the aisles and stuff. So they had two booths wide. So an aisle on one side and an aisle on the other, at least 8 deep. And that was their open area display that you could walk into. They had drinks, they had this, they had that. Then on the aisle next to them, they had another 2 wide, 8 deep with just private meeting rooms, catered food. Like, it was incredible. I couldn't believe it.
For people I've never heard of,
Mm-hmm.
for toys that sound boring.
No, they're like wooden kids' toys. Like, here, I'll show you. Let's do a little, we'll do, did I
Like the
lose that?
kind that I had as hand-me-downs when I was poor.
Maybe. Well, like this kind of stuff.
Yep, it's exactly what I've described.
Yeah.
So the saddest toys we have had the biggest display, and they offered beverages. I mean,
my kids have this. They love it. My kids have some of the food stuff. They love it. My kids have they have, I think, some bead stuff. They have train stuff. They have.
They also have a wooden kazoo.
Yeah, it's the only kazoo to have. What other
Really?
kind of kazoo would you get?
A real one. A real one. Get a real one if you want your children to play with freaking instruments.
Wow. See, Lisa loves Melissa and Doug.
Aww.
See, she knows who they are.
Well, listen, they're your demographic. You're in their demographic. That's so good.
Yes, I believe Lisa has a 5-year-old. No, a 3-year-old, 4-year-old.
Gluten-free wooden toys. I wasn't gonna go there. Oh my god.
So yeah.
There's a lot. I had a lot of these.
They're available on Target.
I had a lot. Well, everything's available on Target. Do you know what I'm there for when I'm at Target? Imagine Next. My nephew.
You know what I need from Target is the Target exclusive Gizmo Duck pop figure that I missed out on last month.
Oh.
That's what I need.
Well, but
almost 5. Her son's almost 5.
Okay, good. My nephew has the Imagine Next Hall of Justice.
Really?
So great.
My son used to have a Batcave.
Yeah, I think he has the Batcave too. My brother just wants like stuff for his son to play with. It's around the house.
Very cool. All right, I think let's move on to Thought Bubbles. I think it's going to wrap up tonight's episode. Anything else we want to mention? We've got we've got a new show that's possibly debuting tomorrow called KGS News. It's going to be a 3 to 5 minute video every week, usually on Thursdays. It's going to showcase upcoming events, sales, releases, pre-orders, just general news about the KGS locations, so you guys can have a heads up on that. We have a free PPTQ in Catskill this Saturday, and we're doing a demo for King of New York at the House Rules Gaming Cafe in Hudson on Sunday. So come and check that out if you're in the Hudson area.
There's a gaming cafe in Hudson.
There is. You should come. Are you busy Sunday?
I might be. I will be at the
No Such Con?
Fresh Air Fund.
Oh, Fresh Air Fund?
Yeah, the Mariah Carey's camp.
Not familiar with it.
Okay, so she has a camp.
She does?
Yeah, like by
Do Melissa and Doug know that she has a camp?
The Mariah has one?
Just kidding.
They better. So I think it's called the Fresh Air Fund. Oh God, forgive me. I'm tired and I can't remember everything. And so we're using Polar Plunge.
Yeah.
Polar
Plunge. Yes.
Polar Plunge. We're doing that Saturday. So it's Polar Plunge Fish Kill. Mm-hmm. No Such Convention is going to be going on at Vassar College this weekend too.
Yes.
And a lot of fun stuff going on.
KGS Poughkeepsie will be at the No Such Con.
Yes. So do stop by. It'll be fun. There's so much for me to do, but for like Saturday morning, we're going to do the Polar Plunge. I'm not plunging.
You're not?
I'm there to support my students.
It was 70 degrees today. You'll be fine.
I'm not a plunger. And, but I'm going to try and make it there to support my students. And it's
when is it this weekend?
Yes.
I wish I knew
Saturday
sooner.
morning.
I would have made the viewers like we'll do a fundraiser where if we raise so much money you have to plunge.
Oh no! But anyhow,
no, you just know.
Yeah, I'm not on the team at all. I made sure I stayed completely away from that. But yeah, please donate to my team. It's on my Facebook page. Give my students a little boost. The money is going to Special Olympics New York.
Very cool.
Great camp for inner city kids. So that's normally what the Fresh Air Fund is for. It's for inner city children to come up in the summer and have an outdoor camp experience. And it's great and it's very successful. It's quite possibly, and Mariah visits every summer.
That's cool.
It's quite possibly the single most awesome thing she has done.
Very cool.
And it just everyone who's partaken in it, they're so grateful that their kids have been there, and it's a really wonderful thing. We're very happy they're
check that out. What day is that?
Saturday morning. So we have that. Non-con all weekend, which I want to be there, and there's so much going on. I made my friend Chris ordered those canisters to make soups and whips and all of that stuff. Like the ones you see in Starbucks that make the whipped cream and other things happen.
Sure.
You know what I'm talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I
know the canister that the whipped cream is in.
Right, and there's a nitrogen cartridge in there.
A CO2 cartridge.
CO2 cartridge, right? And
if it was nitrogen, that'd be bad. I don't want nitrogen in my
Well, molecular gastronomy uses nitrogen. It's fine. So like, so anyhow, it's
That's
great.
to freeze food, not to carbonate it, not to pressurize it.
Right, of course. You're right. Right. Okay. So like CO2. So
The
CO2
life of
considers right. So it's great. So like you can make these creams, you can make these soups or whatever, and we have to play with that. And like so, I think that's gonna be
That's very cool.
that's gonna be like my Sunday experiment.
Oh, cool.
So I'll take pictures. So we have that. And next week is the end of February.
It is.
Is February 28th. So I will do a little wrap up or something, a little something on a hero that debuted in February, and that is Jonah Hex.
Jonah Hex?
Yes, Jonah Hex will be our, is gonna be our who's this character for February.
Ooh. Is that gonna be a new regular segment?
I think we should do it once a month.
Right, yeah,
Who is this character?
I like that.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate all the interactions you guys do. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or Instagram. I am Tony on a Mountain on both, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm,
Tony on a Mountain on Twitter. Tony on a
I'm
Mountain.
Cliff NY at Instagram and Clifford NY on Twitter, and I'm so tired of fixing these accounts. I don't even know.
So please, interact with us. We love the conversation, and we really appreciate those of you who can make the live show. And we'll be back next week. And I think our shows might start a little bit later because of a schedule change. So be on the lookout. We'll probably start at 6:30 from now on. But I think we're also going to try to make the shows a little shorter. So hopefully that'll work out all the way around.
Yay.
So thank you again for watching. As always, I'm your host, Tony Cox.
And I'm Clifford Parmenter.
And we'll see you next week.
Take care.